You're listening to an extracurricular episode of Book Club Shmook Club, where in between book reviews, I, Kristen Rogers Anderson, and my brother, Will Rogers, go off book and talk about whatever is on our minds. We only keep one bonus episode in the free public feed at a time. So in 2 weeks, when the next extracurricular episode comes out, this particular episode will disappear. However, if you go to patreon.com/talkbomb and set up a monthly donation, you'll have full access to every bonus show we've ever released, past, present, and future. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram under the usernames @ChillinKristen and @HauntedSponge. Book Club Shmook Club is available on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hello, welcome to Book Club Shmook Club. I'm Kristen.
I'm William.
And we are here with an off-week extracurricular episode, which means that we're going to talk about stuff besides the books that we're covering.
That's right. Next week, of course, we'll be back with And Then There Were None.
Yep.
So keep reading that if you've begun or watched one of the movies or the mini-series or whatever you're going to do.
Let me give a suggestion.
Okay.
So if you haven't started reading the book or listening to it, I would suggest listening to it on audiobook. It's narrated by Dan Stevens, who is from Downton Abbey. He played Matthew, and he was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast recently. He is so good.
Really?
Amazing.
So you've already begun?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
I've
cool.
begun, and then there were none. He is so great. There are obviously a lot of characters and everything, and he does such a great job of all the voices.
Yeah.
He's like one of the best audiobook narrators I've ever heard.
Wow.
And he does a couple of other cool ones. He does another Agatha Christie. Oh, I think he does Murder on the Orient Express.
Huh.
And he has a couple of others too.
Cool.
Fantastic. Voice like butter. And then does a great job with the characters.
All right, cool. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
I tried to get, there's a graphic novel version that came out a few years ago, but it doesn't, like it's listed online, but you can't get it.
Oh.
Which is a bummer. I feel like that would be like a weird, cool.
Yeah, totally. What's the miniseries?
There was a BBC miniseries apparently just a few years ago.
Oh.
So I might try to track that down, time permitting.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm
cool.
loving it so far.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it.
Yeah,
so that's
awesome.
next week on the show.
And it's short.
I know, it is a very short book. That's why I was thinking that like it might be an easy one to dig into the myriad other versions.
Absolutely.
All right. In non-book news, what's going on with you?
Looking at apartments, hopefully to move into.
Yep.
That's the main thing. I think hopefully we found. Well,
oh my God, we didn't tell the story of what happened. Do you want to? Is that something you're willing to tell?
Here's the thing. This is funny. It's childish. Well, not childish. It might be me being overly considerate. I'm totally willing to tell it.
Okay.
Mom.
I know. I spoke to Mom and I said, I think you gotta tell it. She was like,
what was her reaction?
Well, we were talking about it on the phone. So if we don't actually end up telling the story in 2 seconds, let me just say something really frightening happened around Kristen. Kristen stumbled across something terrifying. She called the police appropriately. The police came. They investigated, and we found out the true story of what was going on.
This will be so annoying if we don't tell it now. What was Mom's reaction?
She was like, the one thing I asked Kristen was just don't tell the story. I think it's too gross. It's too scary. And I said, no, I think you gotta tell it. It's such a weird thing to have happened.
Yeah. And then was she like, whoa, or was she like, no?
I think I got her laughing about it. I don't know.
All right,
I don't remember.
Mommy, I know you're listening.
Saying mommy.
Mommy. Mom, I love you. You know I love you. I'm going to tell it in a respectful way. How can I not?
It's such a crazy story.
She was like, don't tell it at least for, and I was like, a couple weeks, while she was saying a couple years.
A couple years? Yeah. Wow, that's a long time.
So I thought she was more concerned about like me getting in trouble for like spilling police secrets or something like that.
No.
I didn't realize she was worried about the gruesomeness.
No. We actually last week we pushed back the recording of the Jack the Ripper show because of what Kristen witnessed.
Yes.
Because Kristen needed some time to mentally detox.
Yeah, because the day that this happened, I was off work and I was planning on reading the Jack the Ripper book a lot during that day, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to read this today.
I mean, the story is pretty gnarly. It's pretty gross. So,
so just prepare
people with
yourselves.
ironclad stomachs and who aren't squeamish and afraid of stuff.
Yeah.
I think that you're going to be amazed by this story because it really is wild. But I think it's something we got to share.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I don't want to upset my mommy. So, Mom, I love you. You know I respect you.
Can we get her blessing
We
real
have
quick?
our differences of opinion. You know, you don't love my tattoos, and I've gotten them anyway, and we still have a beautiful relationship. So I'm hoping that we can get past this.
Let's get her blessing real quick.
All right, get her on the horn.
All right, we'll get her on the horn. We'll see what's what.
All right. I'm looking forward to this. It's a good idea.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. La la la.
Mom, it's Will and Kristen. And
Nice.
and we are calling you as we are recording Book Club Shmook Club.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have your consent to record this conversation?
Yes, you do.
All right, thank you. We're thinking of telling the scary story of what happened to Kristen last week on the show.
And I'm fine with it, and I think it's a story that needs to be told. But I'm speaking to the mic. I'm fine with it, and I feel like it's a story that needs to be told. But I already said that you said that you didn't want me to tell it, so I was not sure if I should.
Well, it's so grotesque.
Yeah, but these people, like,
Speaking of
true crime podcasts are like a humongous thing. Like, people are used to the grotesque now. So I really think it's okay.
Well, my hesitation had been that I just thought that it was way too much for people to want to get their brains around.
I don't know. I've told it at work a couple times. It's a pretty good story. I'd forgotten about it.
Really?
Oh my God. It's like hitting pay dirt for me to like find shit to talk about. I had forgotten. I hadn't forgotten, but like I realized when I went to work on Saturday that I hadn't told anybody out of like you guys who already knew. And then I was talking to this client who I love, and we're just talking about life. And then I was like, oh my God, I haven't told this story to anybody yet. And I told her, and then I told like everybody else all day. And it was a hit all around.
Wow.
So I've learned the beats of the story. I feel like I have a spiel going that will be really enjoyable for the Book Club Shmook Club audience.
All right.
Okay, all right. And now I have your
better than I
blessing. Okay, great.
All right, and
Great.
we've already given a lengthy warning to people out there if they are squeamish to avoid maybe this story.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's, I don't know, it's not so much squeamish as sensibilities. They
Sure.
could be offended.
Well, I think that the fact that it has a happy ending, and I've learned to preface the story with saying that, I think that takes a little bit of the sting out of the sensibilities part of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
But that was your primary objection, is just that it's kind of a gory, gross story?
That I felt, well, first of all, we were talking about it within 24 hours.
Yes, you're right. I mean, we're talking about it within like 2 hours.
True.
Yeah.
It's now been over a week.
Chris had been, like peering at the window at lots of police tape for a while, and had lots of conversations with other people who were professionals who were really, I think, grossed out to the max.
They totally were.
They were grossed out? The police were grossed out?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm really selling the story.
Well, I'm glad that we've gotten your approval here.
Yes. Thank you, Mommy.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. I love you despite this, all of this.
I didn't do it.
I love you.
Love you,
love
too.
you.
Okay.
All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
All right. All right. There we go.
Access granted.
That's right.
All right,
Path
guys.
is open in front of us.
All right, here we go. You've had all your disclaimers and everything.
Yeah.
Get out now if, spoiler alert, kind of, how shall I say this? If the suggestion of a dead baby would upset you, then maybe bounce.
Yeah.
But let me say, as I said a little bit already, it ends up being okay. It ends up being fine in
Yeah.
the weirdest way.
Yeah.
But Okay, so I'll just go
It's
ahead.
funny. That's how I told the story too, because I was telling some of my coworkers, and I was like, I started off and then went like, you know what? There's a happier ending to this story than you're going to think. Having said that, now that you know that there is an appropriately positive ending to the story, let me take you through how I experienced it.
That's exactly how I'm like, so I'm about to tell you this story. It actually has a happy ending.
Yeah.
It's not going to sound like it does, and you're going to wonder how that could be possible.
Yeah.
But just remember, this all turns out okay.
Exactly.
So, on Memorial Day, I was watching Will and Allie's dog Molly, and I got up in the morning and I was walking her. And when I walked by the dumpster that's kind of like right outside my apartment, we live in like a development where they have dumpsters, you know, every few buildings of apartments or whatever. So, you know how apartments work. It's not right outside my door, but, you know, it's like the closest one to me.
Yeah.
So I guess I was throwing away her poop bag or something like that. And there was this thing on the ground, this like bloody thing. And my first thought was, that looks like an umbilical cord. And then I thought to myself, no, you're being crazy. Like, I've mentioned on the show before, I live right by an ecological preserve, so there are lots of animals around and everything. And there was no doubt there was a body part, but I was like, you're being nuts. And I was like, it's an animal intestine. Like, animals were fighting and like some shit happened, but it was disgusting.
Yeah, not that that's like a comforting thing to see.
No, but
anyway, yeah.
Exactly. But it really was, which is kind of interesting because like, I didn't really know that I had the immediate like reference point of what an umbilical cord looks like, but that was like the first thing that I thought, and I was like, you're nuts. So
was it just lying on the in the street, or that's so weird?
Yeah, like
how close was it to the dumpster?
Like 2 feet,
coiled up or straight out?
Straight out.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
all right,
totally. And then this like red stringy thing, like a foot away from that.
Ugh.
Also close to the dumpster. So I was just like, oh God. And, so I went inside and I was thinking about it and I was grossed out and I was like, I wonder if there's anything in the dumpster. Cause I'm still thinking, even though I didn't say it out loud until, again, jumping ahead a little bit, until the cops kind of suggested it. And then I was like, this is validation. I was right.
Right.
I was kind of like, is there a dead baby in the dumpster?
Yeah.
So I woke up Ryan. And I was like, I was just walking Molly and there's like this thing on the ground outside the dumpster and it's like a body part or something. It's probably an animal's intestine, but can you go look in the dumpster and see if you see anything that's weird in there? And he was like, all right, let me sleep for a little while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? He probably was like, all right, it's an animal.
Yes.
Or something.
Yeah. So he slept for a little while longer. And then when he got up, he went and looked and he was like, yeah, there's like a clear bag with like blood in it and like kind of chunks of stuff. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, well, what do you think? Because Ryan, I guess he still has to do it for work. So Ryan's a chef.
Yeah.
He has to, I mean, he doesn't butcher them to the degree he's pulling out intestines and shit like that, but like he butchers his own meat and all that kind of crap.
What do you mean?
Sometimes he knows how to like debone a fish and
that's
he does all the
different from butchering an animal.
Well, yeah, but like he knows how to like do cuts of meat and like, you know, all
okay.
that he doesn't kill.
Butchering is not the right term for that. It makes it sound like he's like slaughtering a cow.
Oh no, but
that's at least what I would think.
Well, maybe I have no idea what the term, but like, you know, he'll get like some like slab of meat and then like do whatever you need to do to like make it.
I can't even handle that bag of giblets inside a turkey.
Oh hell no.
So yeah,
no. But so I was like, well, maybe he'll be like, oh yeah, that's like. I don't even know, honestly, but I was thinking
that's some good prime ribs.
Yeah. I was like, maybe he'd be
hold my feet
like,
and going in.
Recognize something, and be like, yeah, somebody was like doing a fillet. I have no idea what I thought.
Yeah, fillet of fish.
Yeah. So he came back in, and so yeah, he's like, there's a bag of like blood and stuff, and I was like, do you think it's like somebody who was like? I guess I said butch. I don't know whatever other word. It might not be the right word.
That would be speaking like a Scream character where you're like, someone got butchered.
Yeah. Well, no, I was like, could somebody have been like preparing food, let's say? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, do you think I should call the cops? Like, is it like that? And he was just like, I don't really know. Like, he was just kind of like, I'm not sure. I don't really want to get into this. To be totally honest, I think he was just like, I don't know what it is.
Out,
yeah, whatever. So then I was like, all right. So I thought about it for a little while. And then
it's just long pork. That's a
long pork.
I believe that's a gross term for human meat.
Ew.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Where'd you hear that?
I don't know.
Dark web.
Dark web.
Yeah. Oh, God. So I texted you and I texted some of my friends in a group chat. And it was one of those things where as I talked about it out loud, so to speak, through text, I was like, I'm going to call the cops. I think I texted you and then I immediately was like, what am I talking about?
Can I read your text?
Sure.
I scrolled through. I have it.
Yeah, go for it.
You said, this is 1 p.m. This is early afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay, my apartment complex is fucked up. Never a dull one. There is what appears to be a small intestine on the ground outside the dumpster. Some other bloody long thing. And what appears to be a small plastic bag of bloody little pieces of something in the dumpster. Should I just assume it's like someone doing some home butchering or some shit? Should I do something? Ryan says probably not because there isn't anything obviously sinister.
That's right.
Just gross. But I wanted your opinion. And I said, Jesus. Yeah.
So I called the police, and so it was Memorial Day, and the dispatch lady, like I called, like the non-emergency line, and everybody was very resistant at first to this. She was like, so I called and I was like, so there's something outside the dumpster. It kind of looks like an intestine or something, but I don't really know what it is. And there's a bag of bloody stuff in the dumpster. So maybe just somebody should come check it out. And she was like, okay, what's your address? And I said it. And then she was like, is that an apartment complex? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, that's private property then. So the dumpster would be the responsibility of the building. So you should call like your building manager. And I was like, oh, that didn't even occur to me. And I was like, well, it's Memorial Day. I don't think they're open. And she was like, okay, all right, I'll send someone out to look. And I was like, okay, thanks. So then they came and, so I'm like watching like a hawk. So our bedroom window and the other bedroom that we have that we call it Chloe's room, the cat, she always hangs out in there. They both face the outside. Will's showing me a picture of, through the screen that I took, where you can just see a thin line of yellow caution tape.
I don't even know if I should bother posting this. It's not.
You can't see
It doesn't
anything.
look like anything.
No.
But it was sent to me as evidence of the police being outside.
So I'm just like watching like a hawk, and the police came, and the guy knocked on the door, and I came out, and he asked me, when I saw it, all that kind of stuff, and he was so exasperated, and just like, So he was like, yeah, I put a rubber glove on my baton, which I've never wanted to have to do. And I, poked around in there a little bit, and there was like some white stuff, and basically there's some cause for concern. When you called, I thought it was just like, oh, this girl just doesn't know, whatever. And I was like, excuse me. But,
he said that. He said like, this girl doesn't know.
Yeah.
He expected he was going to see like a bag of Purdue chicken or something.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell. So he was like, so I guess we're going to go door to door and ask if anybody threw away anything that could have been that. Because I guess they were also thinking like weird home thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. So, close the door or whatever, and then went back to my perch. I was just watching the
He could have just walked
time.
over to your window and spoken to you.
Oh, without a doubt. I was just like looking out there like Mrs. Kravitz from Bewitched.
You must look like that kid who used to play the French horn when we lived in Missouri.
Always in the window.
There was this kid who lived on the same cul-de-sac as us. And no matter what time of day, you could basically walk outside and hear the sound of a French horn and then follow the sound and see him sitting up in his window in the second story of his house, almost like pressed up against the window. He was so close to it. It's bizarre. And that was you.
Basically. Like pretending like I could possibly read. Like I had some other book with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to hang out here and read, and I'll peek at every once in a while. And there's no way.
It is screwed up that you were like reading a Jack the Ripper book and finding body parts. You found body parts.
Yes.
Like no matter, even with the happy ending to the story, you found body parts.
Oh, I sure did.
Yeah.
So, then another cop came and rang the doorbell, and, Ryan and I both came out, and he was like, so, you guys are the ones who found it. He basically asked me the same stuff again.
Yeah.
And then he
You
was
guys
like,
missing any body parts?
yeah, just wondering. Then
What about you, princess? You look a little light. Talking to Ryan.
to Ryan, yeah.
Pushing him up against a wall.
And they were like, have you seen any pregnant women in the area recently? And I was like, oh God, because I knew it, and I was like, oh God, you guys think that it's human? And they were like, all the cops were like they were all really, really nice, but like definitely like you see on TV, like kind of cagey cop talk. Like they didn't really want to give me that much information. Yeah. So they were like, it appears to, or not even it appears to be, like, we're looking into that possibility. Like,
what's your
like
20?
that.
Yeah, we're rounding up a perp for a 1096. What's that, chief? Here we go. What's your 20? Excuse me, officer? What? I'm sorry.
I don't speak that.
I'm right here. Isn't that what that means? I don't know. I'm right here. What do you want me to say?
So then he was like, well, and by the way, there were like a ton of officers there. So there were like, and I skipped a part a little bit. So there are a lot of policemen out there. Like, more cars kept coming.
Yeah.
And then I had already, besides me just knee jerk thinking that it was umbilical cord, what kind of like, it was starting to have me really be like, yeah, this is definitely a baby, was that a Robert Wood Johnson truck came and then left.
Yeah.
And
Ambulance.
Then, yeah. And so that's a hospital near us. So I was like, they had like a medical person come to verify that it was like human stuff. Yeah. So he's like, have you seen any pregnant women around here lately? And I was like, yeah, I have, because there was this woman who lived in my complex who I'd seen like for the last like week taking these walks every night, and she was super duper pregnant. So I thought to myself like, oh, she's probably trying to induce labor because they say to walk around and everything. And the cop was like, no, they wouldn't be as far along as that. And I was like, and I was like, then no. He's like, you haven't seen anybody with like a little bump or somebody who looks pale, sick? And I was like, no, I haven't. And he was like, well, so we have an officer here who has a body cam on. So we're going to have you guys one by one go and talk to him over there rather than having you come down to the station and take a statement, because we can just record your statement right here. And I was like, okay.
That's so weird.
It was crazy. Yeah. And so just like the same cop like took me like up the stairs or whatever and asked me the same questions, but with another cop there who's just like facing me with a body cam.
Did it feel like when we film our stuff sometimes?
Yeah, it felt the same.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Yeah. I was grooving to the music before it started.
And I'm Ryan.
Yeah.
And we found a body.
Pardon the interruption. To run our show, which gets costly between hosting fees and buying the books we review, Book Club Shmook Club needs help from our listeners. You can donate to the show by going to patreon.com/talkbomb, where you'll be able to choose a monthly donation that you feel comfortable with. As a thank you from us, you'll instantly get access to all of our bonus Between Book shows, which don't stay in our main feed. Every time a new one comes out, we bump the last one on over to Patreon. There are dozens and dozens of secret shows that you haven't had access to if you're not a donor. Doesn't that inflame your FOMO? That's fear of missing out. It's an acronym. You'll also have access to each new bonus show as it comes out, and early access to all of our book reviews. We load them onto Patreon as soon as we record them, so our donors get all of our episodes days earlier than they show up on the public feeds. Again, going to patreon.com/talkbomb and setting up a donation makes that happen, and we thank you so much for it. If you would prefer to individually purchase our bonus episodes, you can find them in our shop at talkbomb.com, where we also have stickers and bookmarks for sale. We would also really appreciate your support by leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. Positive reviews help other people find our show by making podcast apps more likely to list us. It also helps validate us to people cruising around looking for something to check out. So leaving us a review is like paying it forward twofold, since it helps us and it turns someone else onto something you enjoy. And we do hope you enjoy the show, so let's get back to it. It was so weird. It was surreal. It was, in a way, I can't lie, in a way it was kind of exciting.
Sure.
Because I love true crime stuff. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that, I'm kind of in the middle of this a little bit. Yeah. But that was not my prevalent thought, but It was kind of exciting and crazy. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, once it was confirmed, besides me just being like, oh, you're nuts. Once they asked me if I'd seen any pregnant women, I was sick.
Yeah, when you texted me that part, because I was right there, you were texting me.
Yeah, I was like
throughout.
live tweeting it to Will,
And I had been telling the people that I was with, because like you've had some crazy stories about where you live. Yeah, and so I was telling them about it and just being like, you just gotta get out of there, blah 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 blah. We were talking about it. I was like, it's crazy. Like, what if there was like a murder?
I know.
And they dumped some body parts in this dumpster. Maybe they tossed more in another dumpster.
Well, they were looking in the woods behind our apartment.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, they're looking for a dead baby in the woods behind my house.
Once you said that it was a baby, I felt my stomach just drop.
I was really...
And it's immediately, not that it's fun, the idea of a murder.
Yeah, but
it's like there's something that's otherworldly about a murder.
Yeah.
And once you said it was a baby, I remember just feeling sick and being like, all right, I don't even want to talk about this anymore. But I was with a bunch of friends. We were at a bar waiting. We were in Martha's Vineyard and we were waiting for the ferry.
Yeah.
So we were literally just like shooting the shit and passing time and getting burgers and beer.
Yeah.
And like somebody would be across the bar and be like, any more news about that body? And I'd be like, oh my God, I can't talk about this.
I was so upset about that part. Like I was just like, oh God, this is for real. It's not just like, oh, Kristen, you're being crazy. I was like, oh my, ugh.
Not just like heightened reality.
Yeah, it was awful. So then, I'm just watching like a hawk, basically. They had, the thing that was, tricky was I couldn't totally see because there's, as with a lot of dumpsters at apartment buildings, there's like kind of a fence around it to block it from the view of the apartments because it's like gross. So, I couldn't like really see, but I saw somebody walking around with a camera around their neck. I was going between our room and Chloe's room to get like different vantage points, but it was like basically the same vantage point.
It's funny that you refer to that as Chloe's room. That's your cat. I know. Chloe's room.
I know. It's Chloe's room.
You got pictures of like cat celebrities up on the wall, Puss in Boots.
I know. It's Chloe's room / my yoga room.
Yeah.
But we call it Chloe's room.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like trying to see, but so there's like a woman with like a camera on, and I could see them like going in the dumpster kind of and stuff. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So they were there for a long time. And a lot of it was just that, like nothing that I could see going on, and them just tons of cops and people and walking around on their phones and looking upset and looking tired and exasperated. And I was like, oh God. And they put up, right after, or was it after? No, it was before they asked us to talk about, pregnant women and stuff. They put up the yellow caution tape all around, which is what I sent Will the blurry picture of. I was also texting like Katie, Mike, Sarah, and Susan, and I sent it to them too. And I can't remember which one of them it was, but they were like, "You get a better picture." And I was like, "I want them to see me like open my."
It was me.
Oh, really? They may have too.
Your picture is the focal point. Is the mesh on your window.
I know, but I didn't want to make a show of like opening my window and scooching the screen aside to like get out the window to take a picture. I felt weird about it.
I know. It's totally fair, but it's funny. Like when you look at the picture, you think it's a blurry picture of something in the distance. Then
Is there
you realize
a way I could have...
It's totally in focus on the window screen.
Is there a way I could have like done that otherwise? Just out of curiosity?
I mean, probably, definitely.
With just a phone camera?
Probably.
Oh,
I mean, phone cameras are great.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh my God, better pics, please." And you said, I can't. I don't want to open my window and like pull up the screen and shit right in front of them. It looked like you're selling pies. Like, it's weird.
It just felt like not the thing
You
to
should
do.
have tried to embed yourself in the investigation a little bit. Like, been
what?
like, you need me. I found this. Or just been like, lemonade? Anyone? Anyone need any lemonade? Refreshments?
Oh, it's weird that it didn't even occur to me to like offer them like water or something.
I feel like that's an old like 50s thing where it'd be like, come in for a slice of pie and some nice iced tea.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I think if I wasn't so thrown and upset by the fact that it was a dead baby, then I may have been a little bit more like that. But it really like, I was really not.
Yeah,
it was
pretty horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. So, but again, luckily, remember this has a happy ending. Weirdly, so they were there for like 4.5 hours. So I'm just Ryan ended up going to the barbecue that his restaurant partially like sponsors.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'm not going anywhere. He was like, why don't you come out for a while? And I was like, no. So he left, and I'm just like reading by the window and like looking outside and stuff. And then I see them start to take down the caution tape. So I was like, maybe they're just like done for the day. They like took the evidence or whatever, and they're just gonna like pack it up. So I went outside, and because we had spoken a couple of times already, when the cop saw me coming, he was like, what did he say? He was like, everything's okay. And he was like, everything's fine. And I was like, oh, okay, good. And he was like, mother and baby are fine. And I was like,
You say that?
something like that. Yeah.
Those are weird.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that's not what I expected to hear. And I was like, home birth? And he was like, not even. And I was like, what? Because I was like, what the hell's the alternative? And so again, I'm paraphrasing. He gave me this information like in kind of a roundabout-ish way, but also I think he was really tired and really annoyed. So he did end up kind of like spilling a little bit. I mean, he didn't tell me anything like insanely specific, but yeah, I don't think he at first was like looking to be like, so here's the case as it's laid out. But he was like,
Mother and baby are fine.
they're fine. He was like, so, a woman gave birth in the hospital. The baby is fine, but the mother-in-law took home I can't remember what he said. He didn't say placenta and, umbilical cord. He said something like the stuff.
Viscera.
Or like, viscera. He said something and in my head, I was like, grow up, sir. And I was like, placenta and umbilical cord. And he was like, yeah. And he's like, she took that home and just kind of like gestured to the dumpster. And I was like, what?
It's crazy.
And he was like, yeah. And he's like, what a waste of time and resources. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you did the right thing. Oh no. The first thing he said to me, I just remember because it was a weird thing to say and it didn't tell me everything was fine at first. I knew there was something that I was missing. The very first thing that he said when I walked up to him was like, everything's okay. It was what it appeared to be. And then I was like, an umbilical cord and placenta. Yeah. And he was like, yeah. So anyway, yeah, he was, so yeah, he was like, you did the right thing by calling, but like, what a long day. Cause they were there for like 4.5 hours or something.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so I went inside and I was like, oh my God, like, what the hell? Why would you just like toss that in the dumpster unceremoniously? Right. And then my doorbell rang like 2 minutes later and it was another one of the cops. And he was talking in his walkie-talkie. Like as soon as I opened the door, he was like, oh, and he was like, oh, I just heard you've already been informed. And I was like, yeah, I was like, thank you so much for coming to like, let me know what happened. Because every time I talked to one of them, I was like, is there any way that you guys can
like, let me know
what comes of this?
Because this is going to drive me insane for the rest of my life.
Completely. Yeah. And, they were like, we can, but if you don't hear from us, it's because and I was like, really bad. And they were like, yeah. Because then they can't call me and be like, so Kristen, it turned out. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah. And he was like, you did the right thing. Thank you for calling. You absolutely did the right thing. You know, who knew there would be a happy ending like this? I'm glad it is.
Yep.
But still with that exasperated, like, what the hell have we been doing here all day? Kind of thing going on.
Hey, it's not your fault.
No, not at me.
Oh, okay.
No. They were friendly to, no, they were just kind of like, what the hell?
I mean,
they didn't seem annoyed at me at all.
I did later on. I was talking about it with Mom, and I was saying like, all right, I understand that like some people after a birth they do want to hold on to like the amniotic sac and the umbilical cord. They want to keep those things, maybe for stem cells, maybe for whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Multitude of reasons.
Totally.
Some people eat them.
Yeah. Totally.
Whatever you're gonna do. Okay. They give that away.
Right.
To the mother-in-law to bring it home.
There are a lot of hoops to jump through. I've since learned to get it home.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they don't just give you this bag. You have to like sign things. They don't really want to do it. It's like a whole to do.
Well,
they give it to you in like
biohazardous ways.
They give it to you in like a biohazardy sort of like box. To then maybe she liked it. Maybe she was like, "Oh, this is going to be great for freezer food or something." Like what? Because that wasn't in there.
All right, so you have to jump through all those hoops.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't have to jump through the hoops, you just took it, whatever, and then you bring it home, and then you're like,
it. You know what?
All right, screw this, and you just toss it in a dumpster.
Like, not even in a Target bag, double knotted or something?
Yeah. Then I'm guessing the umbilical cord being on the ground was...
An animal. Yeah, because the dumpster was open.
Who got frightened away.
Yeah. It's probably some sort of like hulked out super beast animal now because they're extremely nutritious.
Yeah. That's like the like Goosebumps twist ending is that unbeknownst to you when you're like, everything worked out. Everything's okay.
Yeah, there's some sort of horrible, like, mutant squirrel in the woods right now.
Camera pans over to a fucking buff squirrel. And then it turns to you as you walk back inside, smiling and closing the door.
It was so insane. And the way that the bag was tossed onto the garbage, actually, in my mind, it made me more nervous before I found out that it was okay, because I was like, what kind of mania state must you be in to like have a miscarriage at home or an abortion and then just toss the bag? Like, you know, when you want to like throw away something and hide it, you smush it down. It was just on top of all the other garbage. So I was like, how out of your right mind must you be to just toss that on top of existing garbage? I mean, so I was like, this is a crazy person. But somebody who was in a really sad
story. Yeah,
in any sort of sad state. I mean, it must have been somebody who was just like not of their right mind at all.
Right.
Turns out it was just some like, so there is a little bit more of a branch of that story. I think I saw the woman who threw it away. Did I tell you this?
No.
Okay. So when the second cop rang the doorbell, and was talking to me. So the woman who was super duper pregnant, who I'd seen walking around, was Asian. And I know which building she lived in. She lived in like the building next to me.
Yeah.
And then this older Asian woman was walking into that building while I was talking to the cops, and she was looking over at us a lot. And I was like, it was you.
Oh my God.
Because the people must know, the mother and everything must know if they were able to figure this out.
And it must have been people who live close to that dumpster, right?
Yes.
You'd be sharing the dumpster.
Yep, exactly.
And she didn't have much of a poker face.
Oh, no. She was like, she was eyeballing us like nobody's business. I briefly, they were so tired that even didn't even notice or didn't care. I kind of made eyes at the cops.
Oh, really?
I was kind of like,
it was her. Swarm.
I was doing that thing where you look at somebody and look away at the thing that you want them to look at.
Right,
I did that like just not insanely, but a couple of times. They were picking up what I was putting down, so I was like, doesn't matter anymore.
Right, yeah.
But like, is that daughter super pissed?
Yo, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, do you know how much I had to go through to get that?
And if they
I don't care if you think it's gross. I wanted it, you idiot.
If she wanted it, she wanted to do something with it. Like, don't throw it away.
You dumb moron.
And also don't throw it away like
throw it
that.
away in a public
it's
dumpster.
Also, like it's an inside
like it's
body
nothing.
part.
It's crazy.
Like, there's something like somewhat sacred about that. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't, if I were to give birth, I wouldn't want my placenta just thrown away, like, just in
so much trash,
like so much in the bag that it came in. Like, wrap it up or something.
Hopefully, it came in a different container. You said it was in like a clear plastic bag.
No, I think it did come in that. I do.
And I think gave her a sack and she like
I don't know,
tossed it over her
that's
shoulder.
That's what I was
like
joking about. That's what I was
Santa.
saying. Maybe she liked the thing that it came in. Like, I bet there was some other thing around it or something. Because I was talking to my friend actually who had a baby. I don't know, not super long ago.
Was it thick plastic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But it was interesting because when I talked to mom on the phone about it before I found out that before I found out anything, basically.
Yeah.
I had said to her, I was like, it's a clear plastic bag, and it's a weird bag. It's like completely clear, like glass. Like, I don't even know where you get that. You know, it wasn't like a cloudy Ziploc. Like, it was like perfectly clear. And mom was like, what?
That just sounds so stupid.
It's a bag you don't see a lot.
What are you talking about? I mean, I guess I'm not able to picture the bag you saw, but I've seen plenty of clear bags. It's like glass. How'd they get it like this?
Perfectly clear. It was weird.
Chris, I don't mean to blow your mind, but there's a clear bag right there.
What? No, that's like crumply, like plastic. Well, I mean, it was a plastic bag, but like, no, it was a weird bag. I was like, where do you even get that? Whatever, you know. Go right to hell. It was odd. And mom was like, you know, they give you bags like that in the hospital. Like, something about, I mean, not body parts, but like something about dad in the hospital. And she was like, yeah, they give you
like
stuff
throw
that's
your
like clear.
personal stuff in.
I guess
stuff,
so.
yeah.
Something like that. And so she had like kind of a recent reference for it. And we were both like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because it didn't occur to me that from the hospital would this thing have come. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounds very peculiar to me to be like what a bag.
All right.
Anyway,
I do get that.
But what a crazy story.
Yeah.
Do you feel weird now being like, I found a body part?
Yeah, but I love it now. Okay. Like, now that I know everything is fine, this is great.
Okay.
Like, mom and I were cracking up about it later that night because it was just so bizarre.
It is insane.
Why would you ask for it? Because they don't ask you if you want the placenta. You have to kind of ahead of. It's part of your pre-birth plan. Like when you're like hashing out. Particulars.
So the mother-in-law really screwed up.
So we were like, why would you go to the length of like wanting to make sure you have it, and then like she just throws it away, just tosses it in the dumpster like it's the garbage from your car.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
It's really gross, really weird.
So gross and weird. Now I know what that stuff looks like.
So you were walking my dog.
Yeah.
Did she see this?
I think maybe.
Any reaction?
No. She laughed.
Sociopath. I knew it.
You know what I thought about? And
What?
it obviously didn't happen. What if she or Crumbs had gotten that?
I know. I thought about it too.
I would have lost.
I would have just...
I think about that all the time.
I would have just not come home. It's so gross.
I think about stuff like that all the time because I walk Crumbs in the woods so often and like everywhere. I think about like, what if he picked up like, I don't know, a dead squirrel or something. I don't know because I wouldn't be able to touch it. I would just scream. I would scream until he dropped it, I think. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. He'll occasionally pick up like a steak bone or something. And I mean, it's not, I don't know if I should say this. It's not good. It's not nice. I mean, I open his mouth and I shake his head to make him drop it.
Oh, not like violently.
Not gently. I mean, I'm not gonna like break his neck, but I pry his mouth open. I'm like, like you're trying to get like a Tic Tac out of the bottom of a purse. I'm just like, get out, don't.
That sounds pretty easy to me, and I'm banking that it's probably a little more gentle than what you're suggesting it is.
Probably.
Yeah. Jesus.
So yeah, the idea of
Yeah, real crazy. Yeah, we almost didn't do the Jack the Ripper book because of this.
Not really. You said,
for like a hot second.
You said, do you not want to? I said, no, I'll be fine.
When we were talking about like, oh my God, it's a baby and they're looking in the woods, it was really, to me, like,
so
we can't sit down and smile and talk
maybe
about...
You know what? If they had actually found a baby, then I probably would have postponed it. It was so dark.
Horrible.
I couldn't believe it. Like when Ryan... I didn't actually see them. They were like... I didn't see it. They were kind of on the side. Ryan saw them in the woods. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Super crazy. Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah. Well, that's the story. That's the
of
horrible
a lovely
story.
Baby.
Yeah. Instead of saving it for 2 years from now.
Sorry.
Now you've got it. Yeah.
Or no, not sorry, Mom. Thank you for your consent.
Yeah. Thank you for your consent, Mom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mommy. I love you, Mommy.
Okay. Well,
I don't actually call her Mommy for everybody at home. That's not like a thing. I guess I sometimes do.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, jokingly.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, there you have it. That's the wild story of Kristen's
Krissy found
life.
a baby.
Yeah, Krissy found a baby.
Yeah.
Oh
Krissy
my
find
God.
a baby.
Is that the name of the show? That's scary sounding.
That is scary sounding.
You know what?
Here's the story of a lovely baby.
We had such
which
a long...
is to the tune of Brady Bunch.
Okay. We had such a long disclaimer about how scary the story is.
Yeah.
If they already selected the show and it says Krissy found a baby, and then they hear that we're going to tell a gory story, that'll freak everyone out.
Totally. Yeah, don't.
Do we do it? No?
I don't know. It doesn't really matter that much.
All right. Well, we'll think about the name.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, we'll be back next week to talk about Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. Mm-hmm. Read the book, listen to the audio book, watch a movie, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Until then, if you have any thoughts about this episode, if you've got any crazy stories of your own that are like this, that you have come to terms with and feel positive about, just like Kristen does,
Yep.
I
feel
know
great about it.
I know that I would love to hear it.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe that would go really well in the Book Club Shmook Club Facebook group.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, look us up or go to talkbomb.com/Shmook, SHMOOK, to find a link to the Facebook group. It's a super secret link, so look hard. Otherwise, you can share all your thoughts with us on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep, I'm at Chillin' Kristen on both.
I'm at Haunted Sponge. And just so you know, Kristen and I, once we hit stop on this recording, we're going to shoot a little special thing.
Yeah, totally.
It's definitely going to end up on the Talk Bomb YouTube page. We're going to be digging through a mystery box that's done by the company Hunt-A-Killer.
Yep.
So you can watch the video as we try to decode a mystery and dig through an evidence box of clues. We'll have that up sometime soon on the Talk Bomb page.
Yeah.
But also keep your eyes peeled Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll be doing another live episode of The Haunted Hunt over on Facebook.com/Hunt-A-Killer Inc. INC. And Krissy might just make a cameo appearance again.
I think I might.
There's a pretty good chance.
Yeah.
So
I definitely am going to. I don't know why we're playing coy.
Well, because if we don't shoot that thing, you might
We're going to shoot it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, look out for both those things coming up in the future. But more than anything, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week for And Then There Were None. But until then, good talk, gang.
Meaning a joint.
All right, quick audio test.
Okay, if I must.
Okay, give me your thoughts on Rugrats.
I loved Rugrats. I used to watch Rugrats a lot. Yeah, I feel good about Rugrats. And yourself?
I feel fine about Rugrats. Yeah. I heard that they're bringing Are You Afraid of the Dark back.
Really?
Not as a full show, but they're going to do some sort of like film or fanfic film or something. I don't know. Something.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Like with the original cast?
I don't know.
Cool. Open to it. Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about it, but we'll see. Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks again for listening to the show. If you enjoyed this episode, you should consider going to our website, www.talkbomb.com, where we have archived every show we've ever done. You can also visit our bonus show store, where we sell exclusive episodes of our podcasts for 50 cents a piece, not to mention our merchandise. If you enjoyed Talk Bomb, the best thing you can do is help us spread the word. Tweet, share, review. We would greatly appreciate anything you can do to spread the word. Please also consider following us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where we're at TalkBomb. Following us online is the best way to keep up to date with our productions. More than anything, we just hope you enjoyed the show. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you at TalkBomb.com.